And today I'm going to introduce you to Susan Trausch. Susan had been a Globe reporter, Boston Globe reporter for 32 years, and then she took a buyout, and we're going to find out how she's lived her life since that time. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So I know that we've talked some about what your life has been like since you left the Globe, and of course for anybody who has been a reporter, as you have been for many decades, I know that that was your whole life, and it was very intense to be there.
Yes.
Can you say something about what your life was like when you were at the Globe?
Well, at the Globe, you go from deadline to deadline, and it's an adrenaline high. I mean, you're, always thinking you're not going to make it, and then you do make it. I did many different things at the Globe. I was in the Washington Bureau. I was a magazine writer. I started as a business writer, finished as an editorial writer. All of that was deadline, deadline, deadline. A lot of creative juice.
So after having been in that pressure cooker deadline atmosphere for all those years, you're saying you really looked forward to the possibility of just being able to relax and do as you pleased and be on your own schedule, right? Right. And then you discovered it was not quite what you thought it would be.
Well, I realized, this never occurred to me. It should have. It didn't occur to me that it was going to bother me not having an identity, that I would not be able to whip out a business card with Susan Trausch, reporter, on it. I did not have a ready answer to the all-American question, what do you do? Or people would ask me, well, what are you doing with all that free time? And right away I'd feel defensive because this is the biggie for me. I could not manage time well. In fact, I'm still pretty bad at it. And this is what I learned about myself, after never missing a deadline for 32 years and being totally anal compulsive and sitting in my cubicle. I pop out and whole days would get by me, and I had sorted my sock drawer. I had made my grocery list, and days just got away from me.
So when you were working, though, you must have been pretty good about managing your time. But you had these the external supports for that, huh?
Yeah, because time was actually managing me, I had to have this done by 4 o'clock.
Not your time.
Their time, my editor standing there, give it to me yesterday. You're sort of grabbed by the scruff of the neck and told what to do. I mean, you are run by the clock.
I think you wrote a chapter in the book also about how you got into really being a housewife.
Yes.
Which you
that surprised me.
Prioritized before, huh?
I always considered myself a very strong feminist identity. It never occurred to me when I left the Globe that wouldn't go with me, that I wouldn't, feel confident at having been a career person. And I get out, and it's like I begin to feel, I think like many women have felt for decades, they're housewives, they don't earn a paycheck, they don't count.
So you retired officially now, what, 5 or 6 years ago?
The end of 2005 I left, so we're into the 6th year here.
6 years. So what about the transition? I mean, you've had a number of years to, think about this and figure out what you do want to be doing.
I've learned to relax, I think, has been my lesson. Like when the day gets away from me, well, I just let it get away from me. And in my working life, I was a control freak. I had to have this done, and I had to have this interview, and I had to. And I've learned to kind of stop being a white-knuckle driver of my life out here in retirement. More sort of let things happen, be spontaneous. Somebody calls, yeah, go do that. And it took me, I wanted to write about this experience because as writers, you know this, having written, something is eating at you, or you're feeling this energy about something happening to you, and you've got to put it on paper.
Interesting. I'm just thinking that there's a chapter in here in your book called In the Zone, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me read just a little bit of it. So you said, learning how not to have a 9-to-5 job anymore is a little like learning how to play tennis, only slower. Some days the retirement game is nowhere, the feet don't move, the follow-through is lousy, and the eye loses the ball. Other days, magic happens. Ball, body, and psyche are in the zone in stunning sync. The magic comes in an instant and can vanish just as quickly. But before it goes, it whispers, you are exactly where you should be. I like that.
Yeah.
So I think about and talk about the concept of being in the zone and flow, and I
really
work with that around my clients, my coaching clients, and my therapy clients a lot. But you know, it seems to me that one of the things you did discover in this whole process, this journey that you're in, is that it's not such a good thing to try to schedule your life up with all this busyness. It makes more sense to be more meditative and be in the present. Right?
And to go outside. This was a great joy.
Yeah. And you also have a chapter in the book about the way you were with your mother-in-law.
Yes, that was one of my most treasured times, because her last year of life was my first year of retirement. And prior to that time, my husband, whose mother Alice was, did most of the taking to the doctor. He had a looser schedule. He's in management, and he could come home, take her to the doctor, hold her hand, whatever. And so when I retired, I said, my turn, you know. And she lost her mind to dementia. She was losing her body to cancer. So her last year got tougher and tougher.
But the flavor in that chapter, though, is that you were very connected with Alice.
And she taught me what it's like to be with somebody on a very basic level. My mother, you know, never needed that, wouldn't have wanted that. She lived in Florida. She, you know, died in like 4 days, bam. Never wanted, you know, don't want the kids to come down and take care of me, you know, that kind of thing. And you learn a lot about life looking for someone's socks, you know, helping her put on the socks. You know, yes, answering the same question
over and over again.
Over and over again. But realizing the frailty of life.
So it sounds like you feel that your relationships have changed somewhat, in that you're really, you know, you're able to be here now with people in a different way than you used to when you were on those deadlines.
Yes, and it's a deeper relationship, and you know.
And what about you and your husband? And you said that you and he met when you were both professionals in the communications industry, right? And
well, that took some adjusting, because not on his part, all on my part. But I felt like I had the free pass to Disney World. And my best friend was locked outside the gate. Since I'd known him, we both worked. We both had the same rhythms to the week. Oh my God, it's Sunday night. Oh, it's Monday morning. Wednesday, yay. Friday. You know, we would walk the same path. And suddenly, you know, I'm getting up going to water aerobics.
Well, it's a lovely book. I really enjoyed it. I think I read it over a couple times. Certainly some chapters in it, and I found it delightful.
Well,
so I'm glad you wrote it.
Good.
And I'm looking forward to reading the other one that you wrote years ago from your Washington experience.
Thank you.
That would be fun.